on Friday. A difficult operation, a dangerous one. The president said it involved dozens of aircraft, and we know that they were rushing against time. I had been told that the U.S. received a communication from this missing airman on Friday evening and indications that he had been injured, which added to the urgency of the search and rescue operation. But also we know that Iranian authorities were trying to get to this pilot first. Iranian state TV even going so far as to encourage residents in the area to locate the pilot, report the pilot's location, and offering a reward to do so. So we know that there was a race here, a race against time to get him to treat those injuries, get him out of the country safely, get the pilot before Iranian authorities or the military were able to do so. And we should also note that search and rescue operations are highly dangerous operations. You have a lot of aircraft involved, many of those aircraft flying low and slow, the helicopters that would do the extraction, the fixed wing aircraft that would help locate. They did, of course, have fighter cover, but again, a dangerous operation, a difficult one over time with, thankfully, a safe outcome for this missing airman. Jim Sciutto, CNN, Tel Aviv.
Let's speak to Ali Fayez, the Iran project director at the International Crisis Group. He's speaking from Geneva. Thank you so much for being with me, sir. I appreciate it. Now that this U.S. airman has been rescued, does that remove one immediate pressure point, or does it actually change nothing about the broader moves of this conflict? What do you think?
It's good to see you. I don't think it changes much. Of course, it is a win for the United States. It is a setback for the Iranians who were hoping to gain additional leverage over the U.S. But the reality is that all the fundamental problems still remain in place, most important among them, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the pending deadline of President Trump that unless things change until tomorrow evening, D.C. time, that he is going to significantly escalate. And unfortunately, the diplomatic track also doesn't seem to be making a lot of progress at this point.
As you say, the US is really celebrating this. There's massive news here. From Tehran's perspective, how significant is it that the US forces were able to carry out this rescue mission inside Iranian territory?
And we're following major breaking news. Thanks very much for joining me. I'm Wolf Blitzer in Washington, in for Frederico Whitfield. We want to welcome our viewers here in the United States and around the world. And let's begin with the major breaking news. A U.S. service member missing in Iran since his jet was shot down has now been rescued. Right now, CNN is learning key details of the massive and very risky mission involving bombs, special forces, and hundreds of U.S. military and intelligence officials. Sources say a team of U.S. commandos carried out an operation deep inside Iran, extracting the injured weapons officer from a very rough mountainous area after the F-15 he ejected from was fired on Friday. The plane's pilot has also been rescued. President Trump, who announced the successful operation early this morning, is escalating his threats against Iran, issuing a new and rather vulgar ultimatum to open the vital Strait of Hormuz. In a social media post laced with profanity, President Trump called on the, quote, crazy bastards of Iran to open the fucking strait, vowing severe military action if they don't. We're covering this quickly unfolding story from all sides. CNN anchor and chief national security analyst Jim Sciutto is joining us live from Jerusalem, and CNN correspondent Julia Benbrook is over at the White House. I want to start with you, Jim. First of all, what are you learning about this rather daring U.S. operation to rescue the service member?
Yeah. Well, Wolf, it was daring and dangerous and highly intricate, involving dozens of warplanes, hundreds of U.S. military personnel and intelligence personnel, but also the remarkable actions of this missing pilot over the course of more than 24 hours as the military sought to bring him to safety. It began on Friday, of course, when the F-15 was shot down. The U.S. got their first communication from the missing weapons service officer later that evening, indicating that he was injured. And then over the next more than 24-hour period, On multiple fronts, the U.S. military sprung into action, organizing a search and rescue operation involving both aircraft but also boots on the ground, as well as generating a misinformation campaign inside Iran to, in effect, throw Iranian authorities or attempt to throw them off the scent, saying that both U.S. pilots had by that point already been rescued. Wasn't true. The Iranian government was doing its best to try to find the pilot first, going so far as to encourage residents in the area to look for the pilot, report his location, even offering a reward. And then that pilot, in the midst of this, found his way 7,000 feet up a ridge line, hid there as his location was pinpointed, and then those forces went in. Again, difficult operation, a lot of low-flying aircraft, including helicopters and fixed wing, so dangerous that in the end, the U.S. lost 2 aircraft. They weren't able to take off. They were later destroyed so that they wouldn't fall into Iranian hands. But that pilot, taken to safety, time to treat those injuries, serious injuries, though we are told he will recover. Just a remarkable more than 24 hours with a tremendous outcome for the military, for the pilot, and certainly for his family and loved ones.
Jim Sciutto, thanks very much. We'll get back to you. Stay safe over there. I want to go right now to Julia Benbrook. She's over at the White House for us. Julia, the president has had a lot to say today about this rescue operation and his deadline to Iran. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, it was overnight in a social media post that President Donald Trump confirmed that that missing service member whose F-15 fighter jet was shot down had been rescued. In that post, Trump said, "We got him." He also called this one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. He said that he had been monitoring the situation throughout the day with other top officials, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, as well as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And then we do expect to hear more on this mission tomorrow. He has announced that he is going to speak with the press in the Oval Office about this mission specifically. That is expected to take place at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then looking even farther into the future here at what's next, Trump has repeatedly threatened to target Iranian power plants if they do not agree to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, that critical waterway where typically 20% of the world's oil passes through. That has been at a near complete closure during this conflict. So Trump has made that threat many times. The deadline has changed many times. He first made it last month. He set a 48-hour deadline. Then he put that on pause for 5 days, then extended it 10 more. He had been saying that that deadline was Monday at 8 p.m. And now we often read posts directly from the president in this role. And I will say there have been several times in recent weeks where some of that terminology has given me pause, where I've said, am I going to say this on air? And today is no exception. I want to pull up his most recent post for you with a warning that this language is quite jarring. So in this, he said, quote, "Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped into one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the," and then use profanity that I'm not going to read directly, but it's there on your screen, straight, "You crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah." He then signed that like he usually does, Donald J. Trump. We have been since seen another post from him where he said Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. He has referred in several brief interviews throughout the day to Tuesday as a time that he is willing to take action, saying that he would be blowing everything up if a deal is not reached. Now, an Iranian senior official did respond to that latest ultimatum, saying that the strait is not going to be opened until Iran is fully compensated for what has taken place during the war. That's what they're saying, and then accusing Trump of sparking an all-out war in the region.
We're continuing to follow all the breaking news. The U.S. has rescued the missing American airman whose jet was shot down over Iran in a risky mission that involved hundreds of U.S. military and intelligence personnel. CIA operatives deceived potential Iranian captors to throw them off before a team of American commandos swarmed in to rescue the officer. CNN National